Yo, what's going on, guys? Crispy Flakes here. So I am going to do my best to stay as calm as possible throughout this video. I have gone beyond the point of anger. The anger is still in there, but it's not like the thing that's up front now when it comes to my favorite basketball sports team, the Detroit Pistons. So last night at the making of this video, we played the Memphis Grizzlies. This was our best chance to win a single basketball game and end this embarrassing losing streak. The fact that I even have to get excited about maybe winning a single basketball game is a whole issue within itself. But okay, so we go against the Memphis Grizzlies. John Morant's not playing. Luke Kennard's not playing. They got a trillion dudes that are injured or not playing. And what happens? Well, Monty Williams decides, hey, Ivy, you're no longer going to start, man. You're going to be the damn 20th man off the bench again. Just giving this young kid absolutely no confidence or stabilization within the organization. But then you also have Desmond Bane. Little T-Rex arms, man. I love Desmond Bane. I actually really wanted to draft him. But he's got a very small wingspan, which is probably why he fell in the draft to 30th? He drops a career-high 49 points. And no coaching adjustments were made to stop this dude who was on this crazy hot streak. I would think, and I'm not a head coach. I used to play at the Boys and Girls Club, man, but I'm not a coach. But you would think in that scenario, you would take Asar Thompson, who has had the spring and the jump and just the athleticism and has essentially been our best perimeter defender this season. You think putting him on Bane would at least be an idea. Maybe we should do that, right? But no. Just no coaching adjustments, weird rotations, and just another embarrassing loss. So, what do I think the issue is? Because I see people going back and forth, looking at the rotation and looking at the team. Oh, Cade has to limit his turnovers. Oh, Killian has to do this. Duran has to do that. Beef Stew has to do this. And while I do think that, with this roster being, I believe they are, well, maybe not with Bojan back in the starting lineup, but at one point, they were the youngest team in the NBA. And I remember reading that they're actually younger than the Michigan State Spartans starting five. So, but at the end of the day, when you decide you want to be an NBA player, you better be ready. Watch Asar Thompson. So, yeah, while I do think players can be blamed to an extent, what I think the ultimate issue is here, beyond the management, and we're going to talk about, the big three when it comes to that. But I do think that there is confliction with the direction of the team. And I think it goes back to the 2020 NBA draft. I think it goes back to, when the Pistons did bring Weaver over from the OKC Thunder. He had that first draft and people were like, okay, not bad. You brought in Killian Hayes, you brought in Isaiah Stewart, you brought in Sadiq Bey. And they were supposed to kind of lead the foundation for this team's identity going forward. And then the following season happened, and the Pistons ended up with number one pick. I think that kind of surprised the management. It kind of forced them into, putting the team in a certain direction and switching up where they wanted to go. Because to me, Killian Hayes is the point guard. But to me, I still look at that draft, and yeah, you can use hindsight to say, oh, well, this player should win number one. I still think going back to that draft, 99% of people were saying Cade should be the number one pick. So you bring in Cade Cunningham. But then, at some point after bringing in Cade, things just got a lot more confusing. The next draft came around, and the team was like, well, we got the fifth pick. Oh, Ivy fell to us. Oh, we have to take Ivy. Which, a lot of people at the time were saying, Ivy's the guy to get at that spot. And I agree. That made sense to me. At that point, Killian Hayes didn't really show enough where it's oh, Killian Hayes has to be the man. But then all of a sudden, it's like you brought in Killian to be your leading guard. You put a lot of confidence into him, and now all of a sudden you have Cade, you have Ivy, and then they get even more weird with it by once they brought in Duren, they decided to trade away Sadiq Bey for James Wiseman for whatever reason. And Wiseman is not a good basketball player. But the reason he was traded for at the time was due to his potential, right? Because it's like we only really see him on the Warriors. But at the same time, it's like we already had a young center with Duren that we had, the idea of having this great potential with. So why even bring in Wiseman? We're already having this logjam at the guard position. You bring in James Wiseman and make things weird with that. But not only that, man, you trade Sadiq Bey to do so. Now, I will say, once again, hindsight's everything. And I do know when Sadiq Bey was drafted by the Pistons, he was definitely more of a stick to the arc type of player. I think it was going into his third season, I believe it was, where the idea was, okay, well, Sadiq Bey needs to get better at ball handling and creating his own shot, and that'll be big for him. And he didn't really accomplish that. He tried, but he failed at it. Sadiq Bey is the guy that should be on the three-point line. So they traded away for that reason, which once again doesn't make sense whatsoever. Because what is it that Cade needs? Cade already has Ivy and Hayes. You don't need another guy that you put the ball in his hands and create for himself. You need a guy that's going to space the floor for Cade Cunningham. And that was Sadiq Bey. Now, maybe you don't think he was the perfect fit, so you train for something else. But to train him for James Wiseman, I don't understand that whatsoever. And maybe it was, we don't want to pay Sadiq Bey. So it's like, all right, well, we'll trade him away, and then we'll try out Wiseman. But once again, like, what was the maximum return on that investment? It's like, Wiseman becomes good, so now we have two good young centers that can't play at the same time. So that makes no sense whatsoever, man. But and once again, like that's not the player's fault. Like, players, like, they've been playing the game a certain way, and it's like when you do all these scouting reports and you're seeing like, is this somebody we want to draft or sign or trade for? It's like you have an idea of what their play style is, and then it's the coach's job and the GM's job to put the right playing styles together and develop a coaching game plan that's going to result in success. But it's been nothing but a mess. So I want to talk about the big three real quick here. Let me start with you, Tom Gores. I don't know your accomplishments personally. I've heard some sketchy stories, but I've not done enough research myself. I do think that first impressions and the way that you portray yourself in a very limited screen time is kind of embarrassing. You always come to the games looking like a drunk. And you're a multi-trillion billionaire, okay? I understand at the end of the day, you put in your work. And maybe you're just bored. So it's like, I'm going to go to a game, get my drink on and stuff. Like, I've accomplished everything I wanted to accomplish in life. Or maybe you're somebody that never has enough. You want to get more. So you take a stake here in the Detroit Pistons, hoping to one day sell at a higher price. Mark Cuban did that, right? Look at the purchase price of the Dallas Mavericks and look at the amount that he just sold off recently, man. It's crazy. From an investment standpoint, you can see why somebody would want to do that. But at the same time, if you're not putting the time into actually making the team better and actually caring about it, then I'm sorry. You're just greedy. You're investing in something that so many people want to see as a successful product, and you seem to just care about the money. You don't seem to have that fire or that passion for the game of basketball or for this team to be successful, which that's your right. You can do that. But I'm just saying that you're really depleting a product that a lot of people have pride in. So I'm not a financial advisor. I can't tell you how to spend your money or where to invest that. But I think if your idea was to invest in the Pistons simply to make money, then I think that's a big part of the problem. And I think that takes us right next to Monty Williams. So Monty Williams, I understand when it comes to wanting to get a new position in your life. You want to negotiate and you want to get the best salary possible. But when the Pistons first started negotiating with Monty, he just seemed totally against it. He's just like, I do not want to coach this team. I mean, not even like a genuine interest whatsoever. Just like, no. So the Pistons, with Gore out there, because this works for Gore. So it's like, well, let's just throw a lot of money at him. Money does not buy passion. It's just money. Money Williams, baby. That's all you do with that, Tom Gore. You made Money Williams. So Monty's coming to the situation where it's like his contract signed, he's gonna get paid, but he don't really have to care. He doesn't have to care. What's the worst that's going to happen? Oh, he's going to get fired and still get his money? That's my little, just prediction. I think that's kind of where he's at. I think that, because it's just, he's done so many questionable things. Where anybody can watch. And, I'm sure backseat coaching is probably annoying as an NBA coach. But when you have collectively 99% of people saying, hey, what is going on here? Then I'm sorry, you're either stubborn and set in your ways to a flawed point, or you just don't care. That's all it is. It's one of those two. So which is it? Because your plan's not working, taking accountability and realizing it's not worthy and not working is something that you need to up your emotional intelligence or something to do. So if you're so stubborn and set in your ways, that's one thing. But if you're doing it just because you don't care, well, damn, that's on Tom Gores for thinking that money buys passion. And then you have Troy Weaver. So with Troy Weaver, he came from the OKC Thunder situation where, he was part of something that, they had some really good drafts. Kevin Durant, James Harden, Russell Westbrook. So he came to the Pistons, and people were like, wow, this guy knows what he's doing, man. This guy knows what he's doing. But also, I look at those moves, and I'm like, Kevin Durant. Who would anybody else draft in that case? I don't even think Troy Weaver. I don't think he was the GM at the time, but he was part of player personnel or something like that. Not player personnel. I don't know, somewhere in the assistant GM or something like that. But anybody's drafted Kevin Durant. Well, not anybody. Sorry, Portland. But also, it's James Harden. I don't remember that draft exactly, but he seems like somebody where it's okay, that's somebody that anybody would draft in that circumstance. Or even Russell Westbrook, too. It's Russell Westbrook, he was a great player at UCLA. Let's bring him in. When you draft a player and they end up being good, but the projection was that they were going to be good anyway, I don't think that is really a badge of honor for the GM to wear, right? It's finding the diamonds in the rough. That dude on the Miami Heat, man. I know I said his name wrong before. I said it was Jamie. Kwame Brown, man. No, not Kwame Brown. But yeah. So like that was a diamond in the rough, right? It's a good move by Pat Riley. So Troy Weaver, I think, has been a beneficiary of just guys in the past that were going to be good no matter what, and they were the no-brain pick. And now on the Pistons, it's he hasn't really done a lot to impress me. He might just not be good at this. I don't know, man. It's, I don't even know when we're going to win a game next. I really don't. And we have a front office that doesn't want to take accountability. They just want to say, oh, the plan will work out. It's not working out. We're on an 18-game losing streak. It's not working out. It wasn't working out 15 games ago. So who's going to do something about it? If everybody's pointing the finger, or if everybody's sitting there, man, and just saying oh, we're all doing a great job, it will come together in time. No, it will not. You are 2-19. What do you expect to get better? Yeah, Kane might turn over a little bit, man. Okay, so he all of a sudden gets a few less turnovers. That's not going to equate to this team winning a championship. That is the goal. The goal is not to win a game. The goal is to win a championship. I don't know what the plan is here. I don't know. I don't care to know, bro. Look at this too, man. We've been doing pretty solid in the attendance. 10th out of 30. You have people showing up. Sorry, you can't see it. I'm looking at Basketball Reference. 10th out of 30th, man, for attendance. So, that's all we got for this video, man. I'm just like, I feel like it's the Detroit Lions again, where you just have management that just doesn't care, a coach that doesn't care, and an owner, GM that just doesn't care. And nobody cares that nobody cares. They're all getting paid. They're all making their money. Good job. And these players are going to get fed up. And they're going to leave. And nobody's ever going to come to Detroit. Nobody already ever does come to Detroit. And any player that's drafted here is going to pull an Eli Manning. And that's just that is the scenario that we're heading towards.